Good morning, everyone. My name is Denise Wang Coquilla, and I will be your reporter for English 29 American in English Literature. And my topic is entitled The Elegy Written in the Country Church Yard. Alright, so this point, before we are going to know the background of this literary piece, we'll have to first know the author. Elegy written in a country churchyard is written by Thomas Gray. Ayan. So Thomas Gray, he was born on December 26, 1716 in London. He died on July 30, 1771 in Cambridge. He died at the age of 55 and he was buried in the country churchyard. He was born into a prosperous but unhappy home. He was a sole survivor of 12 children of a harsh and violent father and long-suffering mother. So that's the author. Now let's get to know the education of the author. His educational background. He is a delicate and studious boy. And he was sent to Eton. Eton is a school in 1725 at the age of 8. He developed and devoted quiet study, the pleasures of imagination, ways to persist for the rest of his years. In 1734, he entered Peterhouse, Cambridge, where he began to write Latin verse of considerable merit. He left in 1738 without getting a degree. So, the author, Thomas Gray, he is a studious boy, but unfortunately, he was not able to hold and finish a degree. So, when we are going to read the poem, this is the structure. So, it is composed of stanza. A stanza is a poetic form of verses and lines. There are 32 stanzas in this poem. Each comprises of 4 lines. So, there are 32 stanzas. So, you already have the idea kung gaano siya kahaba kasi each stanza consists 4 lines. So that's what we call quatrain. A quatrain is a 4-line stanza. Here, each stanza is quatrain. So dito sa elegy of the written elegy written in a country churchyard, there are 32 stanzas. Each stanza consists of 4 lines. So medyo you already have the idea of how long the poem or this literary piece is. Now next we have the rhyme scheme. The poem follows the ABAB rhyme scheme and this pattern continues until the end. So ibig sabihin, from the first stanza down to the 32nd stanza, the rhyme scheme follows the ABAB pattern. So ibig sabihin, the first line rhymes with the third and the second line rhymes with the second. We also have the end rhyme. This is used to make stanza melodious. Example, array, lay, dawn, lawn, hide, bride. Alright, next about the poem. With a total of 32 4-line stanzas in an iambic pentameter, the elegy contains 3 voices. Ayan. The first 23 stanzas spoken by the dead youth, a voice may be imagined to be fashioned on that of West. So if you are going to read it, West is Gray's best friend. And West was died. He died, and that's the reason why, part of the reasons why this is written, he want to dedicate some of the lines to his friend West. Now in lines 98 to 116, that's stanza 29 to that's stanza 24 to stanza 29. Lines 98 to 116 are spoken by a hooray-headed Wayne or a countryman. So that's the second voice. And the third one is the concluding 12-line capital. So, ibig sabihin, these are the last three stanzas, stanza 29, 30, and 31. Some of the criticisms or some of the people call them as the epitaph. Now, epitaph is a praise or form of words written in memory of a person who has died, especially as an inspiration on a tombstone. So, the last three stanzas or the concluding 12 line is the epitaph. Now, here's the author's point of view when he wrote the poem. The poet describes both auditory and visual sensations he observes and feels in the churchyard. The mournful sounds of the owls remind him of the dead resting in their graves. The poet also laments they will unable to enjoy the fruits of life, the happiness of home, the wife, and the work. The poet also comments on the fame and honors rich people enjoy in their lives. To him, the poor souls would have also accomplished great tasks only if they had the opportunity. So, the author, the poet, really gives too much emphasis on the situation of life here to those who are dead and to those who are in the churchyard. He is trying to emphasize that there is supposed to be an equal opportunity of life, but because poor people get a little opportunity, so they haven't the opportunity to show great tasks because they are poor. They have not given the equal opportunity. The poor are peacefully sleeping in their cells, and their plain graves reflect their simplicity and morality. In contrast, he describes the lavish funeral momentums of the rich that are prominent in the same churchyard. Here, the author or the poet emphasizes that no matter what is your life status, whatever happens at the end of the day, both the poor and the rich will, will be laying on the same churchyard. Now, if you're going to read the whole poem, you will be able to understand that the major themes here is death. The transience of life and memento mori are the major themes of this poem. Surrounded by death, the poem provides various images pointing out the contrast between life and death, the mortality and difference between different classes of death. Throughout the poem, he develops the idea that every glitter becomes rusted on the face of death. The poet refrains from glorifying the virtues of the wealthy and famous because they enjoyed fame while they were alive. So again, the poet refrains from glorifying the virtues of the wealthy and the famous because they already enjoyed the fame while they were alive. So here, the author tries to um, emphasize, elaborate, magnify, glorify the deeds of the poor who were lying on the said churchyard. He prefers acknowledging the morality and the decency of those who lead woeful yet satisfied life. So parang he is writing the whole point to dedicate it with the people who are lying there, those only poor people who are lying there. Okay? Because as for the poet, he doesn't need to acknowledge, to glorify those who are lying there who were rich when they were alive because they already enjoyed the fame of life even before they die. So there are literary devices present on the said literary piece. So literary devices, first and foremost, are devices or tools used by writers and poets to convey their emotions. This is actually the reason why writers write. They wanted to write to convey emotions, feelings, and ideas to the readers. Thomas Gray has also used many literary devices to make the point appealing. So let's try to find out what are those literary devices present in this literary piece. Take this one. We have assonance. Well, assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds in the same line, such as the sound of O, and there at the foot of yonder nodding beach. So we have the sound of O with the word foot of yonder nodding. And we also have the sound of I at hence that the rod of empire might have swayed. Empire, I, might, I. Next to assonance, we have consonants. From the word consonants, it is the repetition of consonant sounds in the same line. For example, the sound of R. Okay, we have here the sound of R. Approach and read. So we have approach, R, read. Alright? So you also have the sound of letter L. The sound of L. And all the air a solemn stillness holds. All. Solemn. Stillness holds. So there is that sound of L. L. All. Alright, that's consonants. Next, we have alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds in the same line in quick succession, such as the sound of. Wait, so what's the difference between consonants and alliteration? Well, consonants is simply repetition of consonant sounds in the same line. But when we say alliteration, ayan, it is the repetition of consonant sounds in the same line in quick succession. Ibig sabihin, mas madalas. Alright, we have here an example of letter H. We have, haply some hoary-headed swain may say. So, succession, ibig sabihin, mas dikit, mas malapit. Alright? So, hoary-headed. Alright. We have the W. The flowman homeward plods his weary way. Weary way. That's for W. And we have here the letter L. For the letter L, or walked to ecstasy the living liar. Living liar. That's L. So that's alliteration. Succession. Mas magkakasunod. Kasi balikan natin si consonants. Wait. Repetition of sound. It's not necessarily successive as long as a sound is repeated on the same line. That's consonants. But when we say alliteration, it's a consonant sound, a repetition of consonant sounds in the same line in quick succession. Ayan, I know you guys already get my point. Next to alliteration, imagery. Ayan, so what's in imagery? Is used to make readers perceive things involving their five senses. Okay. As long as you try to involve your five senses, no, that's imagery. When you use your eyes, your sense of sight, your sense of taste, your sense of smell, touch, and your sense of hearing. Alright? For example, there at the foot of yonder nodding beach. Okay? Foot. So foot, your foot, that represents your perceiving, your sense of feeling or touch. The next with dirge, dew, and sad array. And the other one, each in his narrow cell, forever laid. Alright. So next is personification. This is to give human qualities to inanimate objects. So this objects are actually doesn't have a human quality or human attribute, but it's something that associated with them. For example, okay, but knowledge to their eyes her ample page, or the flattery suit the dull cold ear of death. So, may ear pala yung death. Okay. Anyway, that's the author or the poet's way of transmitting or conveying her emotion so that the readers would somehow feel the art of poem. That's it. Well, again, as I have said, this has 32 stanzas with 4 lines each. But I will not include the whole 32 stanzas on my slides because I know that it's a lot of, mas mahaba na. It's lengthy na talaga. So what I'm going to do is, I just have to show you the first 5 stanzas. But don't worry because the whole poem is written on the top of my tawag ani. Was written on the top of my caption when I am going to upload this. But let's talk about the opening stanza. It reads here, the opening stanza, the curfew tolls, the curfew tolls the knell of parting day. The lowing herd went slow over the lay. A plowman homeward, a plowman homeward plods his weary way, and leaves the world to darkness and to me. So that was the first stanza. Now let's go to the second one. And now fades the glimmering landscape on the sight, and all the air a solemn stillness holds, save where the beetle wills his droning flight, and drowsy tinkling full the distant folds. All right. So that's this. I'm very sorry. I'm doing the recording and I'm almost done, but someone's keep on calling me. I don't know why. The third one, save that from yonder ivy-mantled tower, the mapping owl does to the moon complain, of such as, wandering near her secret bower, molest her ancient solitary reign. And the fourth stanza, ayan, beneath those rag elms that youth trees shade, where heaves the torf in many a moldering heap, in each of the narrow in each of the narrow cell forever laid, the road forefathers of the hamlet shape. On the fifth stanza, the breezy call of ensigns breathing morn, the swallow twittering from the straw-built shed, the cock's shrill clarion on the or the echoing horn, no more shall rose from their holy bed, lowly bed. Ayan. So, thank you for listening. I know that you've got something from this. I hope so. But of course, the whole poem will be written on the caption as I'm going to upload my video. Thank you for listening once again. And of course, everyone, I really wanted to leave this saying to everyone, don't be afraid of moving slow. Be afraid of standing still. Once again, this is your reporter. I am Venice Cuquilla. Thank you.